into the online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hey there, AfterBuzzers. Welcome back to AfterBuzz TV's Narcos After Show. I'm your host, Isaac Johnson. You can follow me on Twitter at Isaac Johnson, Instagram, the Isaac Johnson. We're here breaking down Season 1, Episode 8, La Gran Mentira. Alongside me is my wonderful co-host, Dave Abed.
Here I am, get my name right as always. Thank you.
I always get it right, Dave.
You always, except earlier today. Dave Abed here, Go Blue Dave on Twitter, Dave Abed on Instagram, and just Dave if you see me on the street.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I thought it was David if we love you, if I remember correctly.
Family and girlfriends.
Okay.
Yes, family and girlfriends.
So you told me to call you David. I'm not
That's
sure
right.
which one that
Make
makes
him my girlfriend.
me, folks. Wow. Head over to youtube.com AfterBuzz TV. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave us a comment. We appreciate you being part of the conversation. Dave, how do you feel about this episode?
Loved it.
Yeah, love?
Loved it. I love the moving and the shaking involved. Every time there's like a scene where I'm like, I'm a little bored. A couple times when he's talking to his wife, Pablo, I'm like,
you don't like Tata?
I'm a little bored in this scene. Then they always follow it up with some kind of crazy violence or action. And
they do like the violence on the show.
And this one, I love when main characters die.
Well, yeah, okay.
Especially if this was a main character, but it's not like I ever like pulled for this guy. He was like an interesting voice of reason.
Sure,
to
yeah,
Pablo.
voice of reason. I don't know if I was pulling for him, but I was.
Yeah.
He was kind of like the only guy in Pablo's corner to kind of like give him like some sense or something like that, or a little bit of a conscience, if there is such a thing. And
yeah.
Drug trafficking. I thought this episode was cool. I thought it could have been possibly a season finale if it were to be one, just with Pablo leaving there in the helicopter. I thought, well, what else is going to happen after this?
Yeah.
Just going to watch him hang out in his castle for 2 episodes?
Yeah.
Probably not, but I dug it. Yeah, and the death of Gustavo there. Spoiler alert, I guess.
Well, probably everybody's seen all 12 episodes by this time anyway.
There are 10 episodes.
10. Well, if they saw 12, they really got an extra 2.
Let's watch the first 2 again.
Yeah, that's true.
So let's get on into this episode. Carrillo there, after we find out that Gaviria is going to negotiate with them.
Capitulate.
Yes.
Well, because we're going to get into Diana later, but because Diana died, and he just basically said no more people can die.
Yeah, it was a big... the former president's daughter, I guess if you have to think of like Chelsea Clinton or somebody like that was killed, it would be like...
By the Secret Service, in a way.
Yeah, it would be like the country would mourn, that sort of thing, so they do the deal. But Carrillo will not be convinced. He will stop at nothing. He's like, look, he's got a good point. Like, a lot of these cops, either their friends or their family, or somebody who's either bombed or shot or something to that effect, so even if we say we're not going to do this anymore, these guys are still going to go after them.
Right. Yeah, and it continues the story, obviously, because if nobody's going after him, it's kind of done with the series.
Exactly. Yeah,
and again, it's like, this is real life. You couldn't write this stuff any better than...
Exactly, yeah. I thought to me, like, oh, that's a great way to move the story forward. And I thought, no, that's probably what happened.
That's actually what happened. And it is, while we were writing our points for the show, it's just crazy how not too many shows, like... The show started with Steve, and obviously Pablo's always the main character, but Steve is like the main character, and Peña, and now like an episode like this, they're kind of like pushed to the sideline.
Yeah.
You see people like Carrillo and these other characters really are the main parts of the episode, and I think this show does it really well. It's like a toned down Game of Thrones where there's tons of characters, but this show does a really great job of like, I really do feel like I know each character.
Yeah, absolutely. So you mentioned that Diana accidentally shot. Did you see that coming? When they're coming in there, she's kind of buddying up with Gorilla there. She's kind of working both him and Pablo. Yep. But like, I kind of saw that happening. I thought like,
which part, that the police would kill her?
Yeah, accidentally shoot her. I thought, one, like, hide in this closet. Like, well, then you're gonna get... I don't know. There's something about it as soon as they came storming in there, and he's, I guess, protecting her. And
I thought maybe he was gonna shoot her in the head. being like, oh, if you're gonna try to get us. But either way, yeah, I figured she'd probably die. For a brief moment after they killed the dude, I was like, oh, maybe she lives.
Yeah. I don't know, something about it just like telegraphed to me. I was like, oh, she's going to get like shot by one of these cops or something like that.
And that's what happened.
And that's going to complicate the story more.
Did we even see the body? I was watching it in a lighted room, so the dark screen, I couldn't see much. Did I
saw her in the closet.
You
like,
did
she was
see
kind
her.
of like slumped down.
Where did she get shot? In the head? Did it show?
So I didn't quite see it. It might have been the head. But
she's dead.
Yeah, she is dead. Sadly.
Sadly.
What did you think about her and like her like sort of like working guerrilla Pablo there, you know, like the conversation between them? It seemed like she was almost like she was really challenging Pablo and who he's become, all that kind of stuff. And then like it just seemed like Gorilla was like, well, let me make friends with this guy, so at least I don't know, he doesn't rough me up in here.
Right. Well, and again, it's a lot of Pablo's nonverbal responses in that scene. He just stares and thinks about it. But yeah, I mean, this show continually puts like the facts in front of Pablo, and it's just always interesting hearing how he justifies everything.
Yeah.
And because the only way this show works is if you somehow see what he's thinking, or else he just seems like the Joker, almost like completely insane.
Yeah, well, I honestly can't really tell what he's thinking. Sometimes it was interesting to find out more of his thoughts, but like I liked her, you know, even though she's a captive, you know, by him, and he's a scary dude. She really kind of put his like feet to the fire in terms of like who he's become and how he thought he was going to work for Congress and all these kind of things that they're talking about there. I thought like, wow, I really like her challenging him. I thought there was a lot of great tension in that scene when she's talking to him, because I thought like, was he going to just like snap her neck or something?
I thought perhaps,
like,
yeah.
Yeah, because I'm like, this is the guy that you don't, but I guess she's already there. I mean...
Right, and he needs her.
And maybe she thinks she's going to die anyway.
I got that sense from her, is that, yeah, she kind of gave up a little bit of hope. But yeah, and the videos he makes her do aren't that bad. Like, you would think...
not necessarily. It aids his cause.
It aids his cause, but it doesn't make her... You think of, like, these... You see other movies, and they're, like, make these people say totally whacked out stuff about their captive. And hers wasn't that bad. So me just thinking she didn't have to like betray her moral code so much in order to get these people free.
Right.
And what hostages is she talking about? I forget.
These are all of the other, like, you know, before they were just bombing random people and killing cops or whatever, and that wasn't getting results for Pablo as far as moving forward with Gaviria. Then they just started kidnapping like rich people's kids.
Oh, okay.
So that they would get their attention, and obviously her being, you know, a very important person.
Yeah.
There was something that Pablo said during that thing where he was like, you know, I would have done marvelous things, and she kind of agrees with him.
Yeah. She's like, that's the worst part. You would have done marvelous things.
Right. What does she mean?
Well, if you think back to episode 1 or 2, like, he was very into the poor. You know, he was giving the poor money all the time. He was building new buildings. He was building new schools. And so that's the I mean, we often bring that up on this show. In the beginning episodes, we all kind of felt like, okay, we know he's a bad guy, but all he's really doing is dealing coke.
That's all.
That's all he's doing, and taking the money and refusing it back into Colombia. And he just kind of holds on to that Robin Hoodness, and they call him Robin Hood.
Yeah,
that
that's
one reporter.
Valeria. She spun that thing.
So yeah, I mean, you can see that. Yeah, if he would have continued down that road, unimpeded, then yeah, Colombia could have maybe had a lot of good things.
You think he would have been possibly a good congressman, like / drug trafficker?
Right. I mean, yeah, there's probably no world where the two can coincide. Yeah. I mean, because unless they made cocaine legal, would probably be the only way that would work, because you can't have a lawbreaker in Congress, basically. Though they did.
Yeah, well, they did, but like, I'm like, I don't know. She's kind of just sort of placating him a little bit. Is this part of her working him to get out of there?
Well,
try to save her bacon, you know, that kind of thing, which I would see. But then, okay, so I'm like, you know, maybe she did think, you know, he was doing a lot of good, even though he was just trafficking some cocaine. Right. It's a bad thing. Dave. It's a very bad thing.
Well, and it's like, you know, when you get in a fight with your wife or girlfriend, you have to be like, look, I know you meant well when you said this thing that really hurt my feelings, but let's be honest, you did this horrible thing. So I think it's like that.
I will take none of that to heart.
You've done nothing wrong.
My own relationship.
Right.
My wife is perfect.
She's perfect. That's what you say every time.
Doesn't make mistakes.
Right.
I do.
No, that's how relationships work.
Yeah, because I'm stupid.
Yeah, you do the wrong things, she does the right things.
Yeah,
that's how God made us.
Says to me. Does Pablo, like, he's like, I would have done wonderful things, right? Does he? I mean, this is sort of, to me, the character continuing to delude himself, in what he would have done. And I almost feel like no one's really asked him these questions, maybe, that she's asking him. Feeling that at all, or is that just me?
I feel like we've had pieces of, like, I feel like even his own men have questioned him in other episodes. What are you doing? And it's always like, for the good. They've challenged me. I'm a hard worker, and they try to take that away from me, and I just wanted good. And so he's obviously deluded in this fact that it would all be okay if they would just get off my back. Right,
but I'm like, that can't be true. It can't be true at all for him, because he's almost like...
He's a terrorist.
Yeah, well, he is a terrorist. But, like, even, okay, so, like, which we forgot to write, but, like, Fernando, like, we can segue into Pablo here, but, like, Fernando there, after they finally get this whole deal, they make the deal with Gaviria, they're going to go live in the castle, and whatnot, and Fernando's finally like, oh, man, I'm out of here, that's great. Oh, my work is done here, and he's like, "No, we can get a lesser sentence, even though they're going to, even though they're only going to make me plead to drug trafficking one time, because it's not that bad if you only did it once, I guess." Like, and they finally get this like sort of unheard of deal where you're going to get to go stay in your own castle with your own guards, and we can't be within 2 miles of it. I think that's 3 kilometers on a metric system, but even after all that happens, he's just like, "Well, we can get a lesser sentence," and it's like. Yeah, maybe he thinks he would have been a good congressman, but he would have still wanted more power. Oh, yeah. He would have still wanted more. Like, there's never really enough for this guy. Just like him getting, like, the lightest sentence of all time. It's like that, I don't know, like if you give a mouse a cookie or something. Right. Like he's just like, well, cool. What else can I get? Yeah. What else do you want, dude?
And I thought that scene showed 2 things. One, this guy always just wants more, completely drunk with power. Yeah. And 2, how terrifying it would be to work for a guy like that. Because this guy's just like, I just pulled a magic rabbit out of my hat here. And he's like, well, cool, do better. And you think, oh, if you don't do better, maybe I'll die.
Yeah, Fernando there is like sweating pretty hard. Like, he's like, cool. Yeah, we should get more. That's a... good idea. I
mean, it's just every day.
Bad for that guy.
It's like these people live in constant fear, and we've seen so many people die for barely anything that guy could easily be next if he fails. Yeah. And how stressful he has a life.
I think you had a hard day at the office.
Right. Not a bullet in my head.
Yeah, no. So they're in the woods there at the beginning. I actually thought, like, even as evil as Pablo is, like, he's smart enough to, like, throw them off the trail there. They got the tracker on the donkey. Or was it his phone? Or
Yeah, that's like pre-cell phone. They have like, I was thinking about that. Like, this is a long time ago, but they have like this form of cell phones, kind of.
Yeah, I forgot what it's called, but it's like
it's like those old Nextels where you can go beep beep.
Yeah, I don't think it's quite those.
Right, something like that.
I'm not sure, but I was like, of course we always have to check in with Y Session, Colonel Governor, what's his name?
The dude.
Yeah. And he's just like, like we're smarter than him. Like we got him. See, we can do all this stuff. And then it's like a donkey carrying a cell phone.
Like, damn it. They always make military guys look dumb.
Those guys make it easy for them to look dumb.
But then, I mean, it wasn't too much later that airplane... The airplanes are working where they're listening in. Because then the next scene was them cracking in to get Diana.
Yeah, which is how they find her.
Yeah.
But was it... oh, no, sorry. It's a different point. But... you were asking, like, what are they doing out in the woods? I don't really...
Because I hadn't watched...
just a place to talk?
The episode 7 just ended with them talking about the castle.
Yeah, the castle.
So we never saw them going in the woods. And I didn't know why the dude didn't have a shirt on.
Neither of them had their shirts on.
Yeah.
Which, yeah.
I was like, I must have missed something.
Well, Gustavo looks like he's lifting.
Yeah. I was like, okay, cool, great pecs, but... So we don't know, but I guess it was to show.
We definitely know now that's not a fat suit on Wagner Moura who's playing Pablo.
Oh, no, yeah, that guy's out of shape. That's a fun role to play. You eat a lot of donuts in the morning.
Yeah. No, I was saying last week that there was like an article where he was just like, I'm never doing this again.
Yeah, right, because he's like, you worked so hard all the time to be in shape.
Exactly. So Gaviria and them make the deal. We said that they're going to negotiate with them. that's going to move forward. I thought it was interesting how they got into that position, but does Javier really think that those are the only options? I guess that's the only way to
It's frustrating that they don't let American troops in. It's funny. What's his assistant's name?
I think that's Eduardo. Eduardo, yeah.
That guy really came around because that guy was very against America. Wasn't he always against American?
Yeah. But they've now been kind of pushed into this corner by him, especially after Diana's death.
Right.
It seems like that would be the smarter move.
That's what I thought.
But they don't make that move. I was kind of stuck on like, all right, I guess this is it. Is this just still too much pride, too much our own country's pride? I mean,
and like, how hard is it to find this dude? I mean, I guess we live in a world where it's so much satellites we think you can find it. But I mean, there's got to be someone talking and rumors about where Pablo is. Just the fact that they can never find him, and then like, oh yeah, call in some Americans. Get those snipers out, take them down. No, too much pride.
Yeah, that I guess that's...
And wasn't his politicalness already dead? I mean, the ex-president's daughter gets shot in the head. Like, your political influence is probably shrinking.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't know that it's, like, gone, but he is painted into a corner. But, like, would it be such a bad thing if you let someone help you out?
Right.
People with them, because... even Eduardo's there, like they're like saying like, well, they have too many, and they're like, no, we have as many, we can take them down, except like the only way to take them down is to give them exactly what they want.
And didn't you think, just to jump ahead just for a second, like when they got him on the helicopter finally at the end, I'm like, why didn't they just like kill him anyway?
Yeah.
I
mean, one, like, okay, I know it's not going to happen, but I think... Yeah, what if the guy who's like, here's my gun, he unloads it and gives it to him? Like, what if he was just like, clack, clack, boom?
Bam!
Could have done it.
Or once he's up in the helicopter, shot dead in the I mean, yes, it shows that like you're going against a deal, but it's a deal with a criminal.
Yeah, that's a great question. Like, they could have like hit that sucker with like a missile or something,
or even like hired someone to be like, "Oh, rogue guy shoots Pablo." It has nothing to do with the government, but
there's a lot of trust there. I mean, obviously, it didn't happen.
It didn't happen, but I was like,
they
could have done so many different things. Dumb.
Yeah. Gustavo there was questioning Pablo's tactics a little bit there, as far as like.
Of making people pay the taxes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Who are those two guys? I didn't catch their names.
I didn't catch their names, nor do I really remember them in any of the other episodes.
Yeah, true. I was like, maybe I forgot, because like you said, there are a lot of characters. And sometimes I'm like, wait, who's this guy?
And we're racist because we think all Colombians look the same.
You said that.
You
Dave.
said that.
I didn't say it.
Colombian lives matter.
Yeah. They do. They do. But so he's like. Gustavo's got a fairly good point there that like we need these guys to be loyal. We don't need to sort of like tax them
$200,000 a month.
A month, which I'm like, how much money does
I'm
he
thinking
have?
he's gonna say like $5,000 or something. I'm thinking, how much are these people making?
But how much money does he have at this point? He doesn't need the money.
Yeah, he doesn't.
Seems almost like Gustavo's questioning him on that. Like,
right.
I
mean, I guess building your own prison and hiring round the clock security guards and all this is expensive. But if you're the sixth richest guy in the world,
yeah, I was thinking, I don't know that they need the money, but
kind of it's one of those power things. Got to be.
Yeah, I guess so. More of that megalomania sort of thing, because even as he's like got this deal to get his own spot, he's like, everyone thought, people often think geniuses are crazy.
Right.
I'm like, I mean, I'm not surprised that he calls himself a genius.
Right.
But I'm just kind of stuck on like, okay, so now these guys are essentially going to run his business because he can't necessarily run it, or he's going to have to trust them to run it because he's going to be locked in his castle. I mean, I can't leave. In that way, it is a prison, but he controls what happens in there. It's not like actual prison, but he'll never be able to leave this place.
Yeah, and whether I don't know, it's hard to tell what his story device is and what is actual happening besides like the big structure.
Right.
But it sets up because later on it is in this episode, right, that there's the car bomb.
Yeah, family. Yeah.
So I mean, they set up that people are starting to deviate from him or to betray him a little bit. So that part kind of does set up nicely. And Gustavo, right?
Yeah.
Even says like, we don't want these people betraying us, and that moment set up like just another reason.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, we've had other episodes where you think, oh, people are gonna start betraying them, and they haven't yet. And like, it's almost like finally.
Yeah, someone finally kind of turned on him. Well, with that bombing, like that was that moment, he's finally with his wife again.
Great moment.
After, having his
Coitus
with Valeria earlier.
Saw some boob.
Yeah. Yes, we did. Don't forget these details.
Yeah, let's just call it as it is. There's some wife boob in that one. She's way bigger boobs than I thought.
Sure, I didn't really think about the size of...
No, I didn't.
Clearly. But, yes. they have that, like, sort of reconnect moment after he, like earlier in the episode, that kind of, like, strong arms Valeria to tell her, like, she really can't leave him, that kind of thing. Nobody's going to care about you. Or,
is that what he was saying? We're bouncing around a little bit here. Yeah. But, yeah, okay, so the reporter, that speech, he was just kind of saying, one, you're not better than me.
Yeah.
We're the same.
Yeah, we're both bandits.
And then I thought he was... Because he was saying you want to go be with somebody, you want a real future. I thought he was saying, I want that for you. But just remember or maybe is he saying, just remember you're guilty in this too, and if you try to turn me in, you're effed?
Maybe when he was saying, like, you can go and date somebody and get married and all that stuff, I think he was kind of like, I don't know, I got him, like, teasing her with that kind of stuff to, like, what are you going to do? Go get, like, somebody better than me?
Right.
A normal guy, or like a real hero, like you're just like me, that kind of thing.
Well, that whole thing did start though, right? With like she was like,
I got to distance myself from
right,
her.
Which and that's saying,
I was like,
that's disrespectful in his mind, I'm sure.
Well, a little bit, I guess. In some way. I mean, she's not fully complicit, but she's not innocent in the scenario.
Yeah, so he's like, okay, distance yourself. You're no better than me, B word, and why? Yeah, and that did set up though. I was like, ooh, this girl's dead. Maybe.
Yeah, I was just, why are you telling him this?
Yeah, why are you telling him this at all?
Yeah, like on at his house.
Like,
just leave.
Bone him every once in a while, but distance yourself. Like, this is what happens when you get mixed up with a megalomaniac. What do these people think?
Word of caution, don't get mixed up.
Right. Well, I've dated some.
Okay. Good to know. So anyways, I was talking about this, like, after he, like, still wants to be with Valeria, he's having his nice moment with his wife. Tells her he missed her. Aww.
Boom.
Yeah, and then they're talking in bed. That scene shocked me. I didn't see that coming.
The bomb.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Well, and you think definitely that part was really exciting because I was like, ooh, like a second enemy of Pablo. Yes. And I kind of cheered it on. I was like, yeah, don't feel safe anywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
And we've had this like 3 episodes ago where there was another part where he didn't feel safe anywhere. I forget which part it was, but I remember there was a specific other part where for the first time he was challenged or like he didn't feel safe. Oh, it was I think when Carrillo called him up and he was like, I'll kill your family.
Yeah.
So this part reminded me of that, and it's just a reminder to his character, I think, like you're not safe anywhere. And I was really want to know who that was. Well, did they find out it was the Cali? No, they found out the Cali that turned in Gustavo.
Yeah, they turned in Gustavo. I don't think that it was... Yeah, I don't think they said who it was, but they did imply, because no one had ever really turned on him before.
That was in the gang, yeah.
Yeah, and that's the only way they would have known exactly where he was. So I thought, like, oh man, like you said, like this is exciting because now this guy who's felt like untouchable, and even he's strong-arming the government, killing police officers, bombing innocents, all this stuff. Like now it's finally turned on him a little bit to where like, he's got to go to that castle because that's the only place he'll really be safe with his own people, which we can speculate if he'll really be safe with his own people.
Well, and it was interesting because I immediately thought, because they cut to Valerie and her finding out, and I feel like we were supposed to think, oh, they're going to think I'm the one that told where he is.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible.
Because then it makes sense why she would go to him with that news of like it was the Cali people that turned to Gustavo because she's like, look, I'm on your side still. Right. So it just seems like she is still in fear of him, and that's causing her to give up information like that.
Yeah, quite possibly. So we got Gustavo, who's captured by Carrillo.
Let's talk about the most exciting part of the episode is obviously that.
Yeah, Carrillo meant business. He wasn't kidding about like going to any lengths to get this dude.
And let's talk about how the reason they caught him was because he's banging the Ocho girl. Yeah, and we had always said in the other episodes, this is going to end badly.
Yeah, and definitely going to end badly. Which is like so it's like Pacho gives up the information about him being with Marina. And then who gives up? Did I miss that? Who gave up? Who gave them up to find out where Gustavo was going to be? Carrillo.
There's those 2 guys, those 2 Ocho guys. Remember they're talking
the
about.
Ocho. Yeah. Okay, so Pacho gives up Gustavo to the Ochoas, and the Ochoas give him up to Carrillo, because that's part of their own deal to kind of like figure out their
because they're like, you'll never get it to turn in yourselves. You don't have anything big enough. They were like, actually, we do.
Yeah,
this dude.
Here we go.
He's like that. That could work.
Yes, that's right. That was actually like oddly a comedic scene. But it was cool. It worked. But so we got him sitting in the chair there, and like, like, look, just give up your cousin.
That was such a great scene with, I'm not going to kill you, but let me introduce this guy. And then I was like, oh, this is a freaking great, wonderfully written scene.
Yeah, a little James Bond-ish.
It's a little dramatic. Probably didn't really happen that way, but maybe.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know, I thought it was cool. I'm not like knocking it. It's just kind of more like, I expect you to die.
Right.
But that was cool because he's like, this guy, you killed his, like his family. This guy, you shot his brother. All this sort of thing. And then he's, Gustavo's, of course, like resolute, not giving him up. Heck no, man. Let's see how you do after 10 minutes. And I was like, oh.
I always think what it would be like to get punched in the face for 10 minutes.
Okay.
I'm like, don't punch me in the nose because that'll really hurt.
I can help you out if you need
You can help me figure out what it would feel like.
If you want to feel that for 10 minutes.
Do you think it'd be, what's the worst punch in that? Probably the punch to the nose, right? Maybe a kidney punch as well. I've never been punched in the kidneys, but I imagine that it hurts.
It does hurt.
Yeah, it does hurt. Your wife again, and we know.
Well, sometimes I don't listen.
Sometimes you don't listen, you got to get punched in the kidneys.
Yeah, sometimes you got to tell me at least twice.
Right. Well, once, tell you twice, punch in the kidneys.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then, but yeah, I dug that. I almost kind of wanted to see him get hit in the face.
I know. I wanted like one surprise clock across the face.
But they come back to him. He's all bloody, and he's like,
we are bandits, not snitches.
Yeah, and then he just starts repeating himself over and over again, laughing, and I'm like, it was like a smash cut to his face on the floor, and just dead. And I'm like, oh, they let loose on him.
I know.
As much violence as I guess like we've talked about how like they don't like sort of like let you enjoy the violence on this show. I thought that was one moment where it would have been okay.
Yeah, it's a quick analogy, but there was that episode in Game of Thrones where they killed Stannis and they didn't show the part where they sliced his head off, and there was a news article like, this whole show you show the grossest things and they don't, and the Game of Thrones were like, we thought that part would be too violent, and you're like, the whole show is too violent. I felt that was the same thing here, like, pop him in the face.
Spoiler alert, Dave.
Everyone's seen it.
I haven't seen it.
Well, don't see it now.
Well, obviously. Yeah, I don't know. I liked it. And then we got Carrillo there, like, just dump his body. Say he got shot.
I love the...
Yeah, when he's like his face is all beat up.
Yeah.
He's like, shoots him like 5 times. Is that good? All right, I'm out.
Well, what did you think? Because they could have dumped his body and people could have thought any number of things. Yeah. But he specifically said, police did it, he shot first. What message is he trying to send there?
I would imagine it's got to be a message directly to Pablo.
Well... I thought it was a PR message, like a PR message saying, "Hey, the police are on to these people, and we can do well." Totally.
Well, no, at this point, they're fighting about as dirty as Pablo is, with killing him. Yeah, killing the guy instead of like bringing him to justice or something like that, which is something that he mentions.
Right.
Different kind of justice.
And fast forward to Steve at the end.
Yeah.
Where you fast forward to the first scene in the very first episode.
Yeah, I was like, oh, yeah, I didn't really even tie that together when we saw that in the first episode that happened. But the last thing about Pablo is that this is maybe the most emotional we've seen him dealing with Pablo or Gustavo's death. His mom can barely believe it. Get out of my house. She's like, he's still going to be dead if he gets out of your house. But
right.
Obviously, she's...
Interesting way to write grief. I like it, though.
Yeah,
like it. Go crazy.
But, cool shot of Wagner Moura sitting there on the bench. Mom comes down and sits next to him. And he didn't cry, but it looked like he was about as close as you could get.
You saw sadness there.
And this is the first, I guess... he almost lost his family in the bombing. He panicked there. His wife is like, go get the kids and that kind of thing. But this is maybe the most emotional we've seen him in the entire series, I think, to this point. I thought that was, one, really well acted, because it was just subtle enough, but, like, maybe this is the first thing that he's really lost that he's cared about. What do you think?
Has there been I feel like he's exuded rage in other episodes.
Well, I guess sadness.
Yeah. Has there been, is this the first super close person?
I think it's got to be the closest person.
That's the closest person.
It's his cousin. They have the stories about traveling off in the woods together.
Yeah.
Maybe there's some parallel with them in the beginning of the episode.
Oh,
like his mom talks about that.
Perhaps.
But
yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know what to say. Yeah, it's emotion but I always end one episode by teasing myself a little bit with the next episode, and he does move on, and he's still not too jarred. He's not jarred enough to give it up.
Fair enough. Well, yeah, I don't think he can, but
no.
I thought it was good to see him lose something.
I love when he loses. Yes.
Well, yeah, he should.
I know.
He's winning so often.
Yeah.
It's kind of nice to see that happen. Oh man, let's take a tiny little break here to talk about iTunes. Folks, head over to iTunes, find our Narcos After Show, give us a rating and review on our show. We'd really appreciate it. 5 stars. If you really, really like us, 4 stars. If you're sad that Ashley's gone. Well,
just today, or she's
just
forever.
today. Yeah, she'll be back.
Right. So she died.
She still lives.
Okay.
And we will shout you out on the show if you give us a rating and review. We also had 2 quick comments on iTunes or YouTube that I wanted to shout out. One is simply from Honeybee Dream. Great review, guys. Simple,
wow,
short and sweet. Yeah,
powerful.
very powerful. And Miss Lost Nikita.
I wonder what race she is. White.
Probably. Thank you for doing the Narcos After Show. Funny panel with great chemistry and opinions. I hope AfterBuzz will continue with the Nick After Show. I don't know anything about
the
that.
Nick After Show.
The Nick.
The Nick After Show. That show's
platform.
really gross.
Haven't seen it.
So one episode it grossed me out.
Haven't seen it. But anyway, go over there and do that. We'd really appreciate it.
One thing, when they killed
Gustavo?
Gustavo, and they said the police did it. Now, I feel like 5 episodes ago, Pablo would be like, police did it. Everyone dies, basically.
Right.
All out war. And it's toned down now. It's more specific. I mean, they find out the Cali people did it, but it just surprised me that his immediate reaction, in 4 episodes ago, his immediate reaction would have been, this is war. And he would have killed everybody.
I mean, I guess in some way they're already kind of at war. I don't know how more they can...
They've stopped killing the judges. Before it was there was a whole episode of they just killed everybody.
True. Yeah. I mean,
you can kill more people.
They can kill more people.
And maybe that is happening, and the story isn't choosing to focus on that. But I just thought it was surprising that he didn't go after the police.
It's quite possible. I mean, he's already been after them, but I guess he, loyalty is the biggest thing to him. Family is important. The betrayal of someone turning Gustavo over to the police is a bigger betrayal, so you're going to go after those people. So that's why Pacho, Cali Cartel, he goes after them on the soccer field.
Wouldn't it suck? You're playing soccer. You're just a guy.
Yeah.
Maybe you scored your first goal.
Yeah, maybe. And then all the other people in the other uniforms that weren't part of the cartel just mowed down. And they didn't get Pacho.
How? They're not shooting. The only one with a gun shooting back, and they don't get him.
Yeah, bad guys are notoriously bad.
So that guy's... We never saw that guy again in that episode, right? That guy just ran away. He's hiding now.
Yeah, we got to imagine what's going to fire him up too. I mean, it seems like they've got some firepower to kind of come back at Pablo, maybe.
So we were talking about this off air. So the Ochos are just Ochoas are in gang terms, basically another gang.
The Ochoas are under in the Medellín cartel.
Why do they even go by? What is Ochoas? Is that their last name?
Yeah, it's their last name.
And so it's just kind of a different family.
It's like that family. They're all in the same cartel.
Is that one of the families that would have set in one of the beginning episodes where all those families kind of sit around the table? Is that one of those families?
One of those families.
Okay.
Pacho with the Cali cartel are a different cartel, but they still have to kind of submit, I guess, to Pablo because he's the guy.
Right. Okay.
But I thought it was interesting seeing them, because I guess maybe that's how they found, I think we talked about that, that's how they found out about the whole Gustavo thing and kind of set him up there. But he's talking to Valeria there, go to New York, you're not safe here, that kind of thing. I thought that at some point that Valeria was not that loyal to Pablo. I think she enjoyed the power or something like that. Maybe she just was trying to further her career as a...
When did you feel that way? Or that's what you felt all the time?
I felt most of that watching this season. But it almost seems like she has some real loyalty to him, to how she won't, she won't go to New York. She won't kind of take their protection. Do you recall this scene?
No, I do know the scene. I thought maybe she wouldn't go to, a lot of people in this are like, I don't want to leave Colombia, and I just thought, okay, if one of these people are obsessed with Colombia, like if people are after me and they're like, you should move to Canada, I'll be like, okay, yeah, I'll move to Canada. Like,
I'm going anywhere.
And it's New York, best city in the world, one of them, and it's like you could have a great Univision career. Yeah. And but no, she wants to stay. But I thought that was a direct threat against her.
Yeah,
and
he almost as much as threatened her when she told him she needs some distance. You would think that she has proper motivation to leave.
Yeah.
But it almost seemed like some weird loyalty to him, almost as if she believed in what he was doing or something.
I think, well, whatever it was there, I think it after the bombing, I think it's out of fear, because I think, like I said before, that she might think that she's the one playing both sides or something, because I think she's definitely afraid of him now.
Sure. I mean, at one point I thought it was just like, oh, maybe she's just trying to like further a news career or something like that. But then maybe she's like actually falling for him or something, even though she knows she has to get away from him because now he's
guy.
Yeah. But now that he's like pleading guilty to one count of drug trafficking, I can't be associated with this, as if everybody didn't know who this guy's been the whole time.
Right.
Now that he's admitted it, now it's bad to be with him. I was like, I don't know exactly why she's so loyal to him, but she definitely is. There's definitely no questioning that. I was like, that's super interesting. So we said at the end, he's there in the helicopter. He's leaving. He's kind of, like what Eduardo's like, you won. He's like, oh, we both won.
Yeah.
Didn't look too happy about that. And then Steve and Javier, finally, hey, Steve and Javier, remember them?
Right.
Remember they're on this show?
Yep.
They've been, which is not bad for them to be silent for an episode or something like that, but that was the closest they've ever been to Pablo. That's what he said.
Right.
Which I thought, oh man, that's it? Like there's a season 2 of this show.
Yeah.
And that's the closest they ever got to him, and they saw him, and there's nothing they can do about it.
Again, sniper that dude.
Yeah,
done.
I just don't know why. I mean, it can't happen because it didn't happen.
I know.
But you would think that would be a prime.
You can't. We can question history, but we can't deny it.
Yeah, a prime opportunity for that.
But the episode didn't end there, though. It did end with the shout out to the first episode with that shooting, right?
Yeah, it did. Well, that's the thing that I'm getting to, because Steve was talking about, the whole reason this happened is because, he didn't play by the rules. That's the one thing that we won't do, which I thought was oddly, like, all this vigilante stuff was like a Batman sort of thing.
Right.
Because Batman won't kill, and he'll play by the rules. Anyway, so Steve, one, they know to tell Steve, not Javier, about where poison is. Which I was like, why would they go to Steve first? It's interesting. I would have thought Javier would be the dirty one to do that sort of work, but I guess not. They
called Steve, but Steve didn't do it either.
Well, he didn't do it either, but he's the one who set that up.
Yeah, he called Carrillo. Right,
yeah,
Carrillo did.
Yeah, he let them know, but I was like, why wouldn't they call Javier to do that? I would think that Javier
they
would
were just like,
down.
he's an asshole.
Yeah.
Excuse my French, but that's what they said.
Yeah, that's what they said. But like, is that? I don't know. This is interesting because I was like, do they know something about Steve that we don't know as the audience quite yet? That he's willing to do this? Because this is like
good point.
This is like
Perhaps.
Steve is far on the other side of the moral line as far as like getting results. Because even as he's narrating, he's just like, you might say that makes me a bad guy, but you haven't spent enough time around bad guys.
Though they did shoot women, right?
In that bar?
In that bar.
I don't know. I
think they did. They shot some innocent people, which was the only thing I thought, like, I'm all about, like, kill bad guys, without warrants or whatever, but, like, is when it seemed like they might have killed some innocent people, I'm like, oh.
There's a line about, like, the innocent getting hurt
right,
in this episode, too, but I thought, well, this is pretty interesting. Like, Steve is gone to this length now. Like, he seemed like he has had somewhat of conscience, and that he wouldn't do something like this, but, like, seems like he's like, look, we had to get this guy at this point.
And if you remember from episode 1, that part ended in 1 with them showing somebody in Pablo's crew, Steve's face.
Right.
So that's coming up.
Right, yeah. Oh, yeah. That'll be really interesting. Well, let's spend the next few minutes predicting about that.
Cue the theme music.
Maybe the engineers.
Sometimes, we put the people to sleep with this episode. Oh, there it is.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV.
Ooh, it's Halloween. This is perfect.
Sure, Dave.
I love Halloween.
It's good to know, Dave. What do you think about the next episode?
I'm gonna be a scuba man for Halloween.
You are?
Yeah, okay. I was last night. I think there's gonna be a war on Steve.
Okay.
But as they talked about for a long time, that they can't kill a DEA agent because of that one guy. Mm-hmm. So who knows where that will go. I hope we figure out who bombed Pablo.
Yes.
And if there's more war in that area, that would be really fun to watch. We know Pablo lives, so is the next 2 episodes... What, this is 8, so there's 2 more episodes. 2 more for the season. So is the rest to him in jail and what happens outside of the jail? I'm not sure. I do think it's stressful every time I see it, like a scene with like Steve in the car with his wife, because every other time we see someone in a car, they get shot in the face. Yeah. So sure. I don't know. I think there's a lot. Same for Korea. I think there's a lot of stress. We know the main characters probably live through the whole season.
Yeah.
But Korea we don't know about.
Yeah, we don't know about.
So I don't know. I'm thinking there's probably one more good guy that's going to be dead before the season ends.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I'll agree with that.
Yeah.
And it would make probably most sense if it was Korea. He seems to kind of like not.
I'm shocked that he's still alive, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I like it because he's a cool, like, tough guy, but I could see him being the guy that goes. I do absolutely want to know what's going on. Like, who would betray Pablo first? I mean, the Ochoas maybe, but I don't think that they would do. Like, they would be more efficient than a car bomb.
Yeah.
Maybe it's some other outside source. That'd be interesting to find out. This is going to be the continued like isolation of Pablo. You know, we're going to see him be more and more like just sort of secluded. Mm-hmm. But like you said, I guess we don't really get much of him dealing with the death of Gustavo. So interesting that doesn't. I mean, maybe that'll play in like episode 10 or something to that effect, because that seems like too important a death for them to just be like, all right, he's dead, let's move on.
Yeah.
But maybe they don't have the luxury of necessarily mourning him. I mean, he did have him like buried at the same time as the whole extradition thing, and I guess that's some sort of sign of respect. I don't really know.
Question.
Yeah.
Have you been reading any things about how popular this show is?
I read some early on. Why? I'm
just wondering, you know, because I ask a lot. I really like the show.
Yeah, I like it.
I feel like I talk to a lot of people, and a lot of people are like meaning to get to it, haven't. And I'm just wondering if it's. I'm just maybe some research to do for next week. I'm just wondering if this show is catching on, and if it's not, why?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
I'm wondering if it's the subtitles, to be honest, because it's not a show you can really relax. You have to be engaged.
You have to be very engaged.
You can't be on your phone and watch this show.
Yeah, well, it makes a lot of sense for them to have the subtitles and have them.
Well, yeah.
You know what I mean? Because like otherwise, it's kind of cheap that they would be like, you know, speaking English the whole time.
Yeah.
It adds some authenticity to the show. Most people I know have binged it.
They have
a long time ago.
Okay.
And obviously, it did well enough for them to get a season 2.
Right.
Netflix,
yeah, I'd be interested. I would do some research. Just wondering if it's taken off as big as is it their next Orange? Well. You know,
I mean, I know that like our episode 1 review of this had like
right, because people thought they were going to be able to watch it for free.
Yeah, a lot of people complain about that, but also it was like there's like 90,000 views of that. So,
right.
I mean,
of course, I wasn't here for that, so please tune in again.
Yeah, tune back in, all 90,000 of you. Hope and you watch for free. So that'll do it for us, Dave. How can people find you on the
find me almost every Saturday at the Next Door Lounge. We have a brand new murder mystery show that premieres this weekend and all through the year at the Next Door Lounge. So get your tickets on Groupon. Go Blue Dave on Twitter, Dave Abed on Instagram.
Do you die?
I don't die, so you get a full hour and a half of Dave Abed.
Dave cannot stop with the spoilers. You're supposed to leave that a mystery, Dave.
I might die.
You can follow me on Twitter at Isaac Johnson, Instagram, The Isaac Johnson, and also pay attention in a couple weeks. I'm going to be on CSI Cyber. It's going to be cool.
CyberSex, CSI CyberSex.
CSI Cyber is the name of this program. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.